hard working every day. Not a lazy mom, got no time to play. Always on the go, you stuck on the flow, but it's time for the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Not for Lazy Moms. We want it all, we do it all. You know the routine. So I'm back in the studio with my favorite cousin, Hank.
Hey, man, we here, baby.
Uh-oh, he ain't saying
I knew you was waiting for it. Telling the truth from the booth, though. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, and we got the official G over here, Aly.
You just used my... I was going to be like, I'm a G.
I do it every time. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
One moment to shine, Moni still.
Oh, my God. And then my handsome husband. He's everything. Oh, my God. Really?
I'm
really?
not baby's pappy.
You know what? You can't even talk about anything serious with these clowns, right? So anyway, we're going to have a guest today who I'm very excited about. She's like a sister to me. She's been amazing since I've met her. Dr. Simone of Married to Medicine is going to call in. And the reason I chose her, because, you know, we normally don't have guests on this podcast. We never really had a need to have a guest because we just keep it fun and entertaining. And then there's four of us, so it's kind of like overcrowding the room. But Dr. Simone is an OBGYN. And today we're going to discuss a very sensitive topic, miscarriages. And, you know, why is it that it's a topic that's not spoken of as much as it should be? Why do women walk away feeling shamed and disappointed? You know, we always feel like there's something that's wrong with us. We walk away with guilt. And we want to just kind of have a conversation. Recently, I posted an article on notforlazymoms.com, and I entitled it, Pregnancy After Miscarriage Frightens Me. And the reason I thought that it was such a good topic to write about is because I did not realize how common miscarriages were among women. And it was so therapeutic watching all of the responses come in. Some people complimented and thanked me for sharing my story. And a lot of people just looked at it like, oh, my God, me too. It's not just me that's going through this. So thanks, Hank, for burping right
Listen, I tried to move away. My cough button is a mile away.
You moved away after you did it.
like
the spirit.
Was that your way of telling me to like hurry up?
No,
or shut up?
No. Take your time.
That was like the wrap up music.
Listen. This is going to be one of
right.
This is going to be one of those that I sit back and I really take in the information.
Don't try to get
so
serious.
That was your exit.
I'm just trying to stay focused on what's important.
Okay.
Don't try to get that serious tone with us now.
Throwing that
just
voice on
burp
right now.
right in the middle of something that was like serious and personal.
It was
you know?
an accident. It's my serious voice the whole time. It's my serious.
Well, you know, leave it to us to always keep the tone very light. So either way, we're going to talk about some serious stuff. But at the end of the day, we want people to walk away feeling good. We don't want you to walk away from this podcast feeling depressed or feeling, you know, even more into reliving whatever you went through. So hopefully we'll have some laughs down the road as well. Before we have Dr. Simone come in, we're going to just, you know, have a little discussion of our own as we always do. And I want to start with Aly because Aly has shared some things with me and a few months ago. And I want her to tell her story because we just decided that, you know, it's time and she feels more comfortable to talk about her situation. And I think there is something about sharing that's very therapeutic. So go ahead, Aly.
Well, first off, I got to say that, like, in the beginning, I wasn't comfortable at all talking about it, just because I feel like I'm still going through it because I'm not pregnant currently. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you're on the other side of it, it's, like, easier to talk about almost, whereas now I feel like I'm still, like, I don't know. I'm still recovering from it, like emotionally. Physically, I've recovered, but like emotionally, mentally, I'm still going through it. So there's still that sense of like failure, embarrassment, like not embarrassment, I guess shame, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, I was 7.5 weeks when I had my miscarriage. Mm-hmm. And honestly, when you go through something like traumatic, or when I do, I guess, I just go into survival mode. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't feeling any of it. I was just kind of going through the motions of, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. This is what's happening. I had no attachment. And my husband was still, the entire time I was going through it, like still hopeful that something good was going to happen and everything was going to be okay. But I already had kind of like checked out and realized what the end was for this. And it wasn't until I went to the hospital and they had to like make sure everything was gone. Basically, it was like a checkup. And the doctor looked at me and he said, "I am so sorry for your loss."
Wow.
And that's when I realized that it's a loss. I didn't realize it going through it because I think, again, I just went into survival mode. I was just trying to handle the situation, recover from it, and move on. But like, I didn't realize it is a loss. And even though we didn't know the gender or have a name or
Right.
we still had the idea of having a second, you know, when I found out I was pregnant, it was, oh my gosh, we got to get this for the bedroom and this and that. And even though I was 4 weeks, but you still, it's the loss of that idea of having a baby, you know?
Yeah. And obviously, we all know that Aly's oldest son, Sam, and you actually told him.
Yeah, so that was like, I mean, I felt so bad because he's so amazing with babies that I really want to give him a sibling. And that to me is why I feel like it's hard for me to talk about this because I so badly want to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you will. And I believe you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long has it been?
It's been, since my miscarriage, it's been 2 months.
Okay. So, we'll talk to Dr. Simone about this, but my doctor told me after Chris and I had our miscarriage last year, he said, you want 2 full cycles.
Yeah.
So that you know that your body's kind of ready. And then the next time you get pregnant, it's like your body goes into this super pregnancy mode. Like your levels are like extremely high.
And that's what I've heard is that you're much more fertile after a miscarriage. But I will say that something that like I feel like a lot of women don't know is that, I mean, I know for me personally with Sam, it was like one and done. Like I got off my birth control, I got pregnant, healthy pregnancy. It was amazing. So I just assumed that was just how it was always going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that you have like a similar situation.
Yes.
I didn't realize that there could be hiccups like that, this could happen.
Yeah. And it's amazing too, because you'll hear of other people's stories of difficulty in their pregnancy even. And when you've been pregnant and it's been great, it's just like, oh, okay, you almost feel like invincible. Like, yeah, that won't happen to me. And that's how I felt. Because I had Christopher. I mean, the first time I've ever been pregnant was with Christopher. And then the second time I ever was pregnant was with Milani. And they both were amazing pregnancies, labor, delivery, a breeze.
Healthy,
I mean, Milani fell out. Like she literally just like water broke, less than 5 minutes, she's on the table. Like
here I am.
Yeah. So it was like when this happened, there was no doubt in my mind that we wouldn't have a third child at that time. So
of course.
It was just weird. And it's amazing too, because I remember the first day I started feeling the effects of a miscarriage. I'd never had one before, but I knew.
You knew. So did I.
Knew. I literally, I remember it like it was yesterday. Chris and I were still living in Vienna. We were downstairs in the living room, and I asked him to make me some hot tea. So my stomach's feeling really weird. Next thing I know, I went to stand up, and I couldn't. He had to literally, my stomach cramped up and bloated so bad. And he's like, he's being encouraging, and he's being positive. He's like, it's okay, it's okay. I was like, baby, I think I'm miscarrying. Like, I was like, something is not right. I said, I've never felt like this ever with any of the pregnancies before. And I said, this is just weird. So I went to try to go upstairs. I said, I just need to lay down. I went to get up and I couldn't walk. Like literally, Chris had to pick me up and carry me all the way upstairs and like put me in a bed.
Do you have lower back pain too?
Yep, I felt the lower back pain, and it reminded me of almost like of what you feel when you're about to have contractions.
Exactly what I felt. Yeah.
Yep, it was like all of the signs were there, and I didn't start actually like the actual miscarriage didn't start to happen until 2 days later, which was 2 days exactly before we had to film Reunion for season 2. So it was like, and then I was expecting to go there and share some like happy news, like, we're expecting, and production knew that, we were expecting, we were excited about it. And then I get there and it's like, yeah, now I gotta like either not say anything at all or, I'm bringing this bad news. So it's crazy because I didn't say anything to the entire cast, but when we had a bathroom break, Karen and Ashley and I went into the bathroom, and I did share that with them. So they knew even back then that I had a miscarriage. And I was like, I just, I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to dampen the mood. And I really haven't fully dealt with it yet. So it was a crazy time. So I was reading a lot of the responses we were getting from the article that was posted. And I noticed that most of the time women, they don't expose their miscarriage story until they've had a successful pregnancy.
And that's exactly how I feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was like, what's sad about that is that however long it takes for you to have the next pregnancy and actually give birth, you have dealt with whatever emotions you were feeling all of that time by yourself, or just you and your spouse.
But no offense to like Chris or anybody's spouse, but like it's really different. You still, no matter what, as supportive as my husband was, I still felt like I was going through it alone just because of physically what's happening to your body.
Right.
Like my husband all day long, I mean, he was so upset about it. He was just as sad, but there's just a different feeling you get when every time you go to the bathroom or you're still physically seeing what's happening.
Yeah. And it's like, Chris, you can even comment at this time, like, what did you feel? Because I know you were very concerned. You were just like, it's almost like it didn't even happen. Like he would like mention it. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I didn't even want to like really even go into the topic, even with Chris, who I normally feel comfortable talking about anything. So
right. I tell you, for me, it was very difficult. I was excited about having a third child, and then all of a sudden, this happens. It was almost like it wasn't real, but immediately I adjusted my mind and understood that it was real. So I started dealing with it from that aspect, internally. But my main concern was worrying about Monique. She almost kind of blocked it out and kept it moving day to day. And that's what really worried me, because I was wondering, is she just blocking it out and eventually it's going to get to her and she's going to have a nervous breakdown? So I constantly asked her, was she okay? And she was like, no, I'm fine. And that's what worried me, So, that
you were worried she wasn't like feeling it.
Right, dealing with it, because at the end of the day, you were absolutely correct that, it hurts, from a male's perspective, but, we can't imagine what you guys are going through because it is your body. You're more connected to the child. I've never really met the child, but, you have the baby inside, so you're feeling it. You're going through all of these different, emotions, the feelings and everything, connections with the baby, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And, as a mother, that has to be hard. So, we have to be supportive, even though we're going through something, we're checking on you guys to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, for me, it wasn't like I was hiding it or embarrassed by it. It was more so like it happened. I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And, if someone asked me, like, because we did tell a few people that we were expecting. So if they asked, oh, how's the pregnancy going? I'm like, oh, no, I miscarried like a few weeks ago. And it was like I was a robot.
That's how you said it?
Yeah, it was like I was a robot. It was like I really wasn't dealing with it. And obviously that's not healthy. But yeah, it was like my feeling in that moment wasn't embarrassment or guilt, which a lot of the responses I saw,
it was almost denial,
articles,
seemed like. Denial.
Yeah, it was almost like, I think most women, especially like myself, I'm like a control freak. I'm a perfectionist. And it almost made me feel like something was wrong with me. Like I did something wrong. And it was weird. And especially because I'm a pretty healthy person. It was just like, why? And
that's how I felt too. I'm totally with you. I'm like, okay, I was doing everything my doctor said. I wasn't having too much coffee. I was drinking a lot of water. I was working out. Why did this happen? And I think that's definitely a question maybe Dr. Simone can shed some light on, because I know my doctor said to me, like, it's nothing you did. No, you didn't have too many tuna fish sandwiches or, take that hot yoga class. Like, no, it's not that. It's your body's way of saying, like, something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's not right. But I will tell you, like, two things that I learned from this miscarriage, or I guess maybe two things that changed my perspective, was one, how hard it is to get pregnant. Like, people just are like, oh, I'm going to start trying then, or I'm going to, in 6 months, we're going to start trying for a family. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, it really, everything has to align, like, perfectly.
Yeah.
And then I think the second thing is just, I have, like, a new appreciation for my son.
Yes.
Like, I look and I'm like, wow, you are a blessing. All kids, all pregnancies. I mean, it's amazing. It really is.
No, it's funny you say that, because, after having our first two, it's kind of like what Monique said earlier. I guess took the third pregnancy for granted. All right, it's routine. Christopher's here safely, no problems. Milani the same way. So I'm thinking, all right, now, that Monique is pregnant again, like, I'm excited, because I felt that loss that we felt on the third pregnancy. And now it's like, I'm putting my hand on her stomach while she sleep. I'm feeling the
Waking
baby
me
thumping
up.
around. Yeah, I'm all excited.
It's like a
Dude,
new.
it's
No,
like
seriously,
5 in the morning.
I'm
Like, get off
literally
of
like
me.
at times she's knocked out. My hand is on her stomach. I'm feeling the baby, jump around. I'm praying over the baby and everything else. So it's like, I took that one for granted, and it was what it was. But now it just shows things can happen. So you never take anything for granted, especially a pregnancy or a child being born.
Yeah, it's like I've learned that I'm not, made of brick and mortar. It's like, whoa, I'm fragile right now. Like, I have to be careful. And then that's like a whole different conversation. Is then now you're pregnant again after experiencing that. And one thing that I saw when people were posting their experiences in their comments when we posted the article on Not for Lazy Moms was some people have had a lot of miscarriages. Oh, I could not even imagine. I mean, I've heard stories, I've read stories of people who, they were right at the end, 8 months pregnant, or even stillborns, right at the end after they've bonded with this baby inside them. They felt all the kicks. They saw the sonograms, and they've heard the heartbeats for 9 whole months.
It's
devastating.
And
it's crazy because they're sharing their stories, and I'm just like, wow, you are so brave. And then they're thanking me for sharing my story, and I'm looking at it like, wow, I was only 7.5 weeks. You were all the way there. So I'm just like, we need to talk about this more. We need to be there for women and their spouses who are dealing with this. And the fact that people really did not realize, myself included, how common it is.
How common. And it was really, I think, special to see on when I was looking at the Not for Lazy Moms Instagram with the article post, women who didn't even know each other were commenting to each other, just supporting one another. And I think you're right. That's why we need to talk about it more so you don't feel alone. There is a community of all of us that are, sharing our stories together because, as you said in the beginning, it's therapeutic and it's good to feel it and go through it.
Yeah. And it's amazing, too, because I've had so many people say, oh, my God, you've given me hope with your rainbow pregnancy. I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, a rainbow pregnancy? Like, what do you mean? So, but it was amazing to just see how many people had hope because of them hearing the story that I put out there, which at the time I didn't feel like it was a big deal. I didn't realize how many people could, gravitate to that whole experience. And they did. And then to see that, okay, she didn't quit. She didn't give up. She tried again, even though we didn't really try. Chris just took advantage of me one night. And he did not practice discipline. He did not get off of me.
Here we go again. Here we go.
Gosh.
But no. So we weren't planning, but it happened, and for weeks, for a long time, he was so excited, and I'm just looking at him like, whatever. Like I could not even attach myself to the experience because I was almost protecting my feelings and emotions just in case I was to lose this one.
And that's so common too.
Yes.
Like I remember somebody wrote that they didn't talk about it with anybody until the first 3 months, and then then they shared the news. But I feel like if I become pregnant, I'm going to be terrified.
And it's like, how do we get past that emotion? So I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to be positive, and everything in life, there's a risk to it. There's a risk of me loving my kids that I have now. There's a risk of me loving my husband. There's a risk of me loving my family. And that risk is the fact that you may lose them someday at some point. So I was like, you know what? If I can risk that and have enough love for everyone that's here, I'm going to take that risk right now with this child I'm carrying. And if I do lose it, God forbid, at least I opened myself up enough to love that fetus as long as I could, So it's like I had to kind of change my mindset towards the situation and just say, you know what? Love is a risk, and I'm willing to take that risk again, and I just pray that the end result will be a live birth, a healthy baby, in the third child for Chris and I. So once I finally kind of forced myself to start thinking that way, and we passed the first trimester, I heard the heartbeat. We had several scares along the way. very early on, my doctor sent me to the hospital. I mean, not the hospital. He sent me to get an ultrasound at 8 weeks, which is very early for ultrasound. But he wanted to because of the previous miscarriage. So we went, and the baby, I mean, the heartbeat was there, nice and strong. It was around like 180, like it was crazy. And it was so active. I mean, barely had nubs. I mean, and this little thing is just like all over the place. Even the nurse was just like, oh my God, I've never seen such a young little like seed with all this energy. It was just hilarious. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So we get excited. So then the other doctor comes in to do a further check, and he realizes that there were 2 tears. They called it a subchorionic hemorrhage on opposite sides of where the placenta is supposed to attach to the uterus. And if that middle portion teared off, like if it tore off, we would lose the pregnancy.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, this really sucks because the baby's healthy.
Right.
The baby's happy. It's there. It's growing. It's doing everything it's supposed to. They actually moved my due date up by a week because of the size. They're like, this is a big baby. I'm like, yeah, I have
big old babies.
I have them big old babies thanks to Chris. So for all of those people that were wishing twins on me, I'm like, screw you. I'm not trying to carry 2 of them big old Samuel's babies at the same time, trying to tear me and my frame out.
I tried to talk up twins.
No, we ain't gonna do it. You speak it on me, it's gonna happen to you.
Not the father.
You're a mess. Who that baby pappy?
Not the father.
But yeah, so we went from pure excitement, and then a few minutes later back to fear. It was so like, wow, are you kidding me? So at that point, at 8 weeks, my doctor is like, you know what? All of that weight training you've been doing, nope, got to stop it. Can't do that anymore. Oh yeah, that sex shop been having, nope, can't have sex.
And that just really killed me. Oh my God.
All that foreplay all day for nothing.
A mess. Well, there's still sloppy toppy, but
Yeah. Oh, man.
no more mushy gushy. Sloppy toppy.
Hurt never stop.
Not just like saying
started
sloppy
it,
toppy.
I'm not.
You started it.
I told you I'm serious this time.
Yeah, whatever.
Sure.
So he's like, no working out, no sex. He said, I literally want you to just lay down. He
How
said,
good is that for your mental health? I feel like that would drive me insane.
It was awful. I felt good for nothing. I did. I literally laid on the couch.
And
like
she had a little
clump.
bell, and she just rang that bell and
I
said,
wish I
Chris,
had a
I
bell.
need this. Chris, I need that.
Can
Chris.
you give me a
And
green
I'm like, you
popsicle?
rang.
Bottle of water.
I want the popsicle broken half and the other half back in the freezer, and it can't be orange.
You better believe I was soaking it up, though. Oh, I told my kids, I said, look, this is why you were created. Go get mommy a popsicle. I conveniently put it in the bottom freezer so you can just pull it open. What color you want, mommy? I'll take red. You want red? Yes. Okay, mommy. My kids were little helpers. Everybody was like, catering to me. So that was nice.
Christopher, don't you want chips? Or get mommy one too.
Yeah. Christopher, he'd be sitting next to me playing on his iPad. Christopher, did you want a snack? Oh, yeah, mommy, I want a snack. What kind of snack you want? I want a crispy. Rice Krispie. I want a crispy. I was like, okay, go ahead and get one. You want to get mommy one too? Matter of fact, get 2 Krispies and then bring me a bag of chips as well. So yeah, it worked out pretty good. But yeah, so I just did what the doctor told me to do. I took it easy, and then I went back for the second ultrasound at 10 weeks, and it still wasn't all the way healed. So he was like, okay, keep doing what you're doing. Relax. Let's do one more at your 12-week mark. Went back at 12 weeks, and there was a tiny little spot that didn't heal, but he said, no, you're good to go. He said, you were clear to have sex. And Chris came with me to this checkup. He wanted to make sure.
Drove home fast.
Yeah, you did.
He wanted to make sure. He's like, okay, when can we have sex again, please?
Yeah,
It's
that's
been like a month.
the main question I asked. before we
Seriously.
left.
Yeah, he
I'm
seriously
sure the baby was good. Everything was healthy. Monique's fine. But then right before we got out of there, all right, can we have sex?
And then my doctor bust out laughing. He said, oh, that's why you came? He said, yeah, I've seen a lot of women that'll be like, they'll basically keep milking it. Like, oh, doctor said I can't have
Yeah,
sex.
sorry.
I'm not buying that.
So he came with me to make sure.
Verify it.
Oh my God. So funny. And then, another scare that we had at what was it? I think it was the 10-week checkup. No, the 12-week checkup. Was it till 12 weeks?
Don't ask me.
No,
honey.
I'm sorry.
I was just there for the checkup.
Yeah, no, you came. I'm sorry. Let me back up. Chris came for the 16-week checkup. at the 12-week checkup, he was in practice and couldn't come with me. So this is my first checkup. I went by myself to the doctor.
Okay.
And he couldn't find the heartbeat. I was like, you got to be, I didn't say anything. I didn't cry. I just kept my composure. I said, okay, should I tell Chris? Because Chris, he is like very,
Wait, did they send you home without?
No, he wouldn't. He called every radiology place in driving distance that would see me right away, because he was like, I cannot send you home without hearing this heartbeat. He said, I think I heard it, but I can't send you home like this. He said, I want you to hear it for yourself and be for sure about it. Mm-hmm. He said, because, the baby might just be in a bad position where I really can't, because it's small at that point.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Okay, where can I go? I had to drive all the way from, I started out in Potomac, went to Fairfax, and then ended up in Centerville, Virginia. So I drove all the way out there during rush hour. They saw me, saw the baby, and it was so funny because as soon as she puts the image on the screen, this baby is chilling. Had the feet kicked up on the uterine wall, and then had the arm cocked up with the elbow sticking out, and the arm was just like this on its forehead,
laying back, relaxing,
just chilling. I was like, really? We over here like going crazy, and you just in there chilling, like you ain't even moving around.
Like, I can't even imagine your drive. Were you by yourself driving to Centerville?
I was by myself, and it was
like the thoughts that you just everything going through your mind. So scared, and then it's like nope.
And then I had to call Chris and also tell him, and I didn't want him to panic. But
Which
I was just
did.
like,
I'm sure you did, and you wished you were there.
Yeah, but I handled it better than what I thought I would.
He did.
Yeah,
He did good.
I stayed positive, but it was scary.
Oh my God, it was so scary. I was just like, and then just imagining like being further along. And if I did miscarry, I remember how painful it was at 7.5 weeks. And at this point, I was 12 weeks. So I was like, oh, Lord, I can't even imagine. Like, I've heard stories of people miscarrying and they actually see the baby, like they see everything. And I was just like, Lord, I cannot. Like, I know you say you won't put more on us than we can bear. Like, seriously, I cannot. And I just tried to just shut it down from my mind. And when I saw that when I heard the heartbeat and I saw the image, I was just like, oh, thank you, God. Like, it was such relief. And, it's life is precious.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is. And it's amazing what we go through and how brave every woman is to even try the first time to have a baby. It's definitely being brave. I've never looked at it in such a light like this. But to be able to continue trying, I know a young woman who had 5 or 6 miscarriages. I'm talking about 4 and 5 months pregnant and miscarrying. And she would not give up. And she ended up having her son. So it's like something has to be said for the strength of a woman. And then the support that is around that woman as well while they're going through.
Of course. Absolutely. That woman, that's amazing because I remember at 7.5 weeks, it took such a toll on my body that I can't imagine at 4 months or, to go through it again and again. It's just, I can't imagine.
After about 5, 6 miscarriages for the women that are unfortunately that goes through that, is there at a point where you stop because it's unhealthy? Like stop trying to have a baby?
I think that would be a great question for Dr. Simone when she gets on, because I myself can't speak on it.
I know at some point you should see a fertility doctor, right? At some point.
Think so.
But I don't know. I think emotionally at some point you need to look at other options. But again, I don't know from a medical standpoint.
Yeah. And I've heard of people who have had several miscarriages or had hard times and difficulties getting pregnant, and they would adopt. And then no sooner than they adopt it, they would get pregnant.
Yep.
And have a full healthy baby. Now they got 2 of them.
We wasn't ready.
Yep, I've heard that several times. I'm on the board of an awesome adoption organization. It's called Adoptions Together. So we hear those stories all the time. And I've met several women who've been in that position. And they would just laugh and they would say, oh my God, we wanted a baby so bad. Couldn't happen. So we thought, adopt it. And then while we're caring for this young baby, now we're actually pregnant.
Yeah.
It was almost like it took the pressure off of them. Everybody relaxed and bam, there it is.
Yep, stress.
And you know what? I think there's something to that too, because actually when I ended up, we were trying for a year, and while I did miscarry, it wasn't until we stopped thinking about it that I actually ended up getting pregnant. Like it's just, you kind of, I feel like I don't know, we got to a certain point where I was like obsessing over the ovulation sticks and
So
the
you're stressed
temperature
out. You're
and
stressed.
this and that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're trying to time it all up and sync it all up.
Well, I'm
and,
putting pressure on my husband.
man,
like, hey,
just give them regular sex and it'll happen. and tell them don't pull out and it'll happen.
I know.
Stay in there.
There's nothing sexy at like, all right, my temperature is ready for you. Like, you have 5 minutes.
Seriously,
Let's go.
yeah. Don't do it that way.
I honestly believe if you think it and you try, well, if you think hard enough, and well, not think hard enough, but if you're
If you
relaxed,
do it
like you're
hard
saying-
enough.
No, not if you do.
Or long enough.
I told you I'm serious right now.
Oh, yeah. You have been very
This is
mature. I'm
serious.
not going to get you
serious
going.
right now.
You're right. You're right.
I'm serious
All right, go
right
ahead,
now.
bro.
Oh, he's so
No,
corny.
but-
He just likes how his
No.
voice sounds in
I
the
know.
mic.
Seriously.
I'm just trying to catch somebody's attention. But anyway, listen. But no, seriously, I think that when you're more relaxed, I think good things happen. When you're stress free, good things happen.
Just in life, with everything
Absolutely,
in life.
with everything, even with it, trying to create a child. Because I've been headstrong and thinking so much about not having a kid, and it hasn't happened. So the more you think of it, no, I'm serious. The more you think of it, this stuff happens, man. So, thank God the positive thought.
Thank God for Cousin Hank
Seriously.
and his perspective.
No, I'm just saying, man.
so stupid.
If it works for y'all having it, it
Oh
works
my
for me
gosh.
not trying to create it. So, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
But anyway,
Baby free zone over there.
absolutely. No, but I did have a question for Chris. I don't know if you answered this in the middle of the conversation, but
Where were you at?
I know. I feel like he tuned us all out.
I'm
After
sorry.
he burped, he checked out.
Nah, there y'all go, man. All right, I feel me pitching up. This is a serious moment.
All right, go ahead, bro.
So, do you feel as though you handled the miscarriage well? Would you do anything differently? Like, you think you were hands-on when you needed to be, asked the right questions? Like, did you do everything that you think you could do while she was going through what she was going through?
I definitely think so. Just try to be supportive. If she wanted to talk about it, I was there always to talk about it. And
Chris is perfect. He always handles things the right way. But so now we have with us the woman of the hour we've been waiting to talk to, Dr. Simone of Married to Medicine. How you doing today, sis?
I am doing great. Happy to be talking to you. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're here with Cousin Hank.
Hey, Dr. Simone.
Hey, cousin.
My husband, Chris.
hey.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
I done gave him a job, Dr. Simone. I don't know what I was thinking.
The poor guy.
I know, right?
And then we have Aly as
Hi,
well.
Dr. Simone.
Hello, Aly.
So we were talking before you called in, and because Aly and I have both experienced miscarriage, so that's why we decided to, talk about this topic and, be open about it. We realized that a lot of women typically don't like to share, when they've gone through it. But
Absolutely.
I've noticed that it's been pretty therapeutic for me to actually hear other women's stories and, how they've dealt with it. And one of the main questions we had for you was, could you shed light on why it happens? Like, why does miscarriage happen and why is it so common?
So miscarriages happen, especially in the first trimester, about 25-30% of the time.
Wow.
The assumption is most of those are related to chromosomal mishaps. In other words, the chromosomes from mother's egg and dad's sperm does not match up perfectly. And because of the chromosomal mishap is the most likely reason that the early miscarriages happen. However, they can just happen even with normal chromosomes. And there's nothing that the mother does that makes her miscarry. So it's not anything she ate, not anything she drank. It's not any activity that she did that brought the miscarriage on.
Wow.
Because a lot of women will have a lot of self-blame when they have a miscarriage.
Wow. And I'm so glad you said that, because that's actually one of the topics we were covering is why people don't like to share their experience. And I was saying for me, I'm such a perfectionist. I'm such an overachiever, OCD, and I felt like I failed, and I didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You were not the reason that you had a miscarriage. Now, certainly there are factors that increase miscarriage in the first trimester of pregnancy. Uncontrolled hypertension, uncontrolled diabetes. There are certain genetic disorders that would predispose a woman to early miscarriage. But the normal woman with the normal risk factors, she didn't cause her miscarriage.
Wow.
Obviously, if you're a smoker in the first trimester, you would have a higher risk of miscarrying than a non-smoker.
Can I ask?
What about alcohol? Drinking alcohol?
So alcohol by itself, especially if you are an average alcohol drinker and you have, 3 or 4 drinks a week, that is not going to cause you to have a miscarriage.
Right. And the reason why I ask is sometimes, women are pregnant and don't know that they're pregnant and they're still having
They don't
drinks.
even know.
Right.
That's right.
And if I can ask,
That's right.
if I can ask a question, because you said something about smoking, is that with cigarettes or marijuana? I mean, the reason why I ask, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends,
legitimate question.
And they smoke a lot of weed, and they said it's the best thing that they ever did is to feel that sensation while they were pregnant.
Oh gosh!
With that, I know. Come on now.
Well, the funny thing is that marijuana helps people with nausea.
Okay.
That is the funny thing, but marijuana, the use of marijuana does not necessarily increase your risk of having a miscarriage.
But cigarettes.
However, tobacco is a known
there
risk
we
factor.
go. See, okay, big difference.
What I would encourage patients, though, if you use marijuana, if you drink alcohol, I recommend to my patients not to drink at all at any time during the pregnancy, because the pregnancy is the best time that a woman is willing to take the best care of herself.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't have a drinking problem, I ask her to put the alcohol down and just not partake at all.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
It's amazing too for me because I don't even have the desire. Like literally, as much as I love my Camus, the smell of it when Chris is like, he'll have a glass of wine now and he's literally sitting next to me and the smell of the wine in his glass turns me completely off. And then even on his breath, like so many times I'll be like, oh my God, like baby, can you breathe over there?
Did you say what, Doc?
I said, don't blow your wine breath on her, please.
I know it. If I got any hopes of getting in it at night, I can't drink, I guess.
No.
So let me ask you this, and I'm being all serious. What about rough sex? Would that increase the chances of a miscarriage?
No,
I'm just being for real. I'm being honest. Like, 'cause sometimes you want to get that thing instead of just lay up in that thing.
You know what? No, that's a good question because my husband really has like a fear, like that he would like hurt something.
Might puncture something more.
That's a good question.
You got to be a big boy, but if you're a little boy, you can do what the hell you want to do.
After Dr. Simone answered his questions, I got something to say to that.
Hopefully with the rough sex, you are not hurting her. I once saw a patient have to come into labor and delivery with a huge bulbar hematoma, a blood vessel burst under the lip of the vagina.
Oh my God. Was that big
blood
word you just...
collected, swole up. It was awful. But that came from rough sex.
Oh my God.
And he had to be a big boy.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
I mean, I don't care if you're a little boy and you up and down with rough sex.
You ain't hurting nothing. You ain't hurting nothing. He's like, boy, you just tickling me right now.
Yeah, but if you're a big boy with rough sex, yeah, you better be careful.
No, you know what's crazy?
Chris, I'm starting to have hot flashes with these questions.
Oh Lord Jesus, let me stop.
Oh my God.
No, but I was being serious. I know we're having fun with it, but I mean that's a legitimate question that I think that a lot of people will get positive feedback from.
It is too because
what I tell women is that the penis bumping against the cervix can cause spotting or bleeding, especially in the first trimester. And a lot of times if we see spotting or bleeding anytime in the pregnancy, I ask for the patient to refrain from sex. Also, the ejaculation has prostaglandins in it, which can cause uterine cramping.
Wow.
And so there are lots of things, whether the sex is rough or gentle. But what I try to tell the patient is anything that does not hurt her will not hurt her baby. Because sometimes if you have small children, like Monique, you have a little girl, and if you all are playing, she might accidentally hit or kick you in the stomach.
Yeah, my son, oh my God.
Yeah, they do it
all the time.
Right. But if it doesn't hurt you, then your baby inside is fine.
Okay. That's good to know.
That's good to know. Dr. Simone, I have a question for you because I've heard mixed answers on this one. How long do you have to wait until you start trying again after a miscarriage?
The old advice in our textbooks tell you to wait 3 months after a miscarriage.
Right, that's what I've heard.
I tell my patients to wait one normal cycle and get started at it again.
Okay, and is it true that you are more fertile after a miscarriage?
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Okay.
Nope. People think that and assume that, but there's no truth to that.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow. Well, that's good to know about the sex part, because I remember when I was pregnant with Christopher, like, I had
Y'all
to like
have rough sex?
No, I would have to like strap him down like to give me some because he was afraid.
I was freaking out.
He was so afraid. I'd be like, dude,
I've never
you are
had
not-
anybody pregnant.
Well,
you
I know,
so
and I've never
didn't
been pregnant
understand.
before either, but I wanted some, and I'm like, dude, like, don't make me have to like take advantage of you right
How
here.
far along was you when?
It was. I mean, I was huge. Like, I was like 8-9 months.
Oh,
But that's when you like want it. Like that's when you
Yes.
start to feel like, oh my
Hormones are
gosh,
going
hormones are
crazy.
going insane.
Well,
Yeah.
Your stomach need to blow up a little faster.
The other thing that you have to keep in mind regarding men and pregnancy, men are very physical, and your body is altered during pregnancy, especially when you talk about third trimester. And so weight gain, a big gravid uterus, for all of that, that may be a turnoff for your husband.
It was.
I think it's the
He's
visual.
like, but the baby's in there moving.
It's the visual.
Well,
Yeah,
I just,
the idea
It's
of it.
impossible to have sex with a woman that's 7 months pregnant, not visualizing a little baby on your on top, underneath, and it's the visual for me.
well,
get
Dr.
it.
Simone,
It would probably be difficult for you to be on top.
Well,
You got
yeah.
a point.
well,
You got a
I
point.
just lost 30 pounds, so we just trading places in the bedroom. So she getting payback.
No, he told me I looked like one of them starving kids on one of them infomercials because I was so skinny and my stomach was
with a
sticking
big
out so
belly.
big. I was like, dude, really?
All
So-
she needed was to fly on her eye or something.
Oh my God! What are we doing? What are we
Oh, let me stop, man. We're going to get in trouble. Hey, this normally is something you would say.
He
I told
legit
you,
told me
I'm
that's what I look
serious
like.
today.
Yes, she
I
did.
can't believe and you know, especially with your first pregnancy, you're already going through all these body changes you never felt before.
You know they be faking with those flies on the commercials. That
And I'm
stuff
like,
ain't real.
I'm looking at myself in the mirror like, dang, oh my God. Like my stomach was so big, sticking straight out. And I mean, Chris is a ginormous human, so he makes ginormous babies. Like Christopher was almost 10 pounds and he was almost 2 feet long.
Good Lord.
He was 22 inches.
Came out 3 months.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I always joke and say, you know, he looks like we left him in the hospital. Like, he was so big. Oh my gosh. So I know, Hank, you had a question.
I did. Hey, so Dr. Simone, a quick question. I'm on my serious questions today, so no joking. At what point so say a woman had a miscarriage 5-6 times. Do you get to a point where it's unhealthy to continue? You should give up, or it's just you should stop? At what point do you stop?
After the third miscarriage, especially if they are consecutive miscarriages, we call that particular patient, she carries the diagnosis of habitual aborter,
Wow.
and she needs a workup because there are various autoimmune diseases that could be causing the miscarriage, but there could be a structural abnormality in the uterus causing the miscarriage. Nonetheless, with multiple miscarriages, she needs a workup. And when I have a patient who's had 2 or 3 miscarriages, again, especially consecutively, I talk to her about let's take a break. Let's go do genetic counseling if she's never had a child before. And then I have her see a perinatologist or a high-risk specialist for a panel of blood work that we look in women who have had multiple miscarriages. So if I have a patient who's just had one miscarriage in the first trimester, on the subsequent pregnancy, as soon as she gets a positive pregnancy test, I will advise her to take an 81 milligram or baby aspirin every day until we get past the first trimester. Research has not proven that to prevent miscarriages, but anecdotally, I do recommend it.
Okay. Thank you much.
Now, question based on Hank's. Can the 3 consecutive miscarriages, can that happen after you have healthy babies, or is that typically?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. It can happen after 1 or 2 children. I have a patient in my practice that I love and adore who we had 2 boys. And she had 3 miscarriages, and she and I agreed that because of her increasing age, we would stop trying. We meaning her, because it is just a woman is emotionally devastated with her miscarriage, and after we went through it for the 3rd time, I just did not want to see her devastated again. And we agreed that she wouldn't do it. And she came back in with an accidental pregnancy that stuck, lasted 9 months, and we have a beautiful baby girl. So
look at that.
Wow.
Why it happened to her all that time, her workup was negative, I don't know, but certainly we can see it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know, have you ever had any patients where because my blood type is negative and Chris, his is positive. So therefore I have to get the RhoGAM shot to make sure I don't develop the antibodies. And have you ever had a situation where a person has developed those antibodies and the body attacked the fetus?
We don't see that in the private sector where women have access to medical care.
Okay.
If I were in an indigent community, that would be something that pops up. But when women have access to medical care, insurance, we're not going to see that, because the woman's always going to get RhoGAM at 28 weeks in her pregnancy, or if she has spotting or bleeding anytime in the pregnancy. But she will receive RhoGAM again after the birth of the baby, once the baby has been tested. So we're, this is 2018. We really shouldn't see ISO immunization is what it's called, RH ISO immunization. We shouldn't see that in the private sector. And because I've, spent the majority of time of my 20 years of practice in the private sector, it's just not something you see.
Wow. And that's another reason, like, not joking, but that's another reason why women should know who their baby's father is. Because if their blood type is, if you're negative and you have positive, the dad is positive.
Yes.
Yeah, like that could literally.
Well, so you guys have too much money.
I was just about to say that.
Person doesn't know her husband's
I was just about to say that. Regular people like me, we're not knowing.
You should know. Hold on.
The average person doesn't know her husband's blood type. I'm a physician and didn't know my husband's blood type.
I don't even know my own.
I know your blood type, baby. The reason I know is because when I got my blood work done, and as soon as my doctor noticed I was negative, he said, "You're B negative." He was like, "We definitely need to draw some blood from your husband, because if he's positive, you definitely need to get the RhoGAM shot." So to protect, the fetus. And sure enough, he had Chris come in. He did blood work for Chris, and he turned out to be O positive. And it's crazy because my son is B positive and my daughter is O positive, just like Chris. So yeah, it's interesting. But
I'm going to tell you, though, in the rarest of circumstances, why we don't routinely test the husband. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
We don't routinely test the husband because what if it's not the husband's baby?
Oh,
he needs to know.
I can tell you a story about that.
And the patient never reveals to her obstetrician that her husband is not the father. So always, as part of the prenatal panel, we draw the mom's blood. Always.
Wow.
If that mom is O positive or RH negative of any type, B, A, AB, O, her baby gets cord blood testing.
Wow.
Well, y'all
And
need to
we
start
find out the blood type of the baby irrespective of what the father is. Because every now and again, what can Brown do for you?
Right. You know, it's crazy that you're protecting the woman in that aspect, but really, you can save a whole lot of headache if you go ahead and test the guy and he find out the baby ain't his.
Instead of waiting 9 months.
I mean, seriously, though.
Instead of waiting 9 months and then 2 months plus after the baby's here.
I think we just hit a nerve with Hank because Hank had a situation where there was a baby that was supposed to be his and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And he didn't find out until 2 months after the child was here. So he's a little bit still salty right now.
Hank, my condolences.
No, ma'am. No, don't do that. It was a great day. No, I rejoiced. I took a shot and I was happy, to be honest with you. I was cool with it.
Because of no child support payments?
No, absolutely not.
What were you happy about, Hank?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you. No child support payments, yes. Not having to be around a woman that's immature, definitely not responsible, wasn't ready for a baby in the first place.
And was already using the baby as a tool.
Already using the baby. Yes, ma'am.
This is way off the subject of miscarriages, but what I challenge you, 2 things. When you're in a relationship.
It wasn't a relationship.
Whoa. Okay.
He deals with randoms.
Okay.
I'm about to. I'm really getting ready to get on you then, because if you're not in a relationship, you have to glove up every single time, every single episode. No excuse.
You know what? And this is what I tell everybody. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. Because at the end of the day, I preach it all the time.
Don't do as you do.
No, don't do as I say. Because look, I'm going to tell you right. I might show you different, but I'm going to tell you right. Now, I had episodes where, the alcohol talked to me, and I received the message, and the glove wasn't around. I don't do these. I don't do these things anymore. I'm more mature. I'm responsible now.
He recklessly takes down randoms one day at a time.
That sounds good.
I don't do that anymore.
And then the next piece of advice, Hank, is once you recognize that she is not the caliber of woman that you prefer, let's exit stage left. Let's stop getting a cookie. Stop.
No. You know what, Dr. Simone?
Stage left.
To stay off topic, it wasn't like that. It was a woman that turned me down 2 days ago, but we link up on my birthday. We get, drinks, and then it was a birthday gift. We had no prior relationship. I didn't know her, any of that stuff. So it just happened.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, though. I'm going to take your advice.
Dr. Simone, you would need a whole different podcast topic with a whole full hour to try to get through to Cousin Hank.
Yeah, therapy with Cousin Hank.
Here is the thing. I live in a city where HIV is rampant.
Oh,
wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so what I want to advise Hank to do, drinking, not drinking, celebrating, not celebrating. Condoms should be in his wallet, in his pocket, in his glove compartment, in his sock. They need to be everywhere.
I agree 100%.
And it's just a fact.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
So I didn't mean to get off topic.
No, it's okay.
You dead on. People need to hear that. No, it's a lot of people that need to hear that.
A lot of people, not just Cousin Hank, but I appreciate all the advice.
And that's with sloppy toppy or intercourse or whatever.
I think if you start with no glove with sloppy toppy, it should end with no glove. I mean, I'm just saying, but that was just me and Chris.
We're definitely not going to allow Hank to give our kids any advice on sex.
Tell you, I would steer them in the right direction. No love, no glove, backwards, however it works. Yeah.
Oh my God, he's a mess. Dr. Simone, thank you so much for calling in today. We definitely appreciate it. All of the advice you gave us. And yeah, you definitely schooled me on some things that I didn't know about.
Seriously, me too.
So,
thank you so much.
Really helpful.
Well, congratulations to you all. I hope everything is successful and beautiful. If you need me to come and catch the baby, the only warning is all my babies look just like me.
Good luck fighting with these Samuels genes. Them babies be coming out Samuel strong.
Buddy, your babies are beautiful. Honey.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, we'll
Thank
talk
you for
soon.
having me.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We can keep going? Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. That was amazing. I definitely learned some things that I didn't know. Dealing with a lot of stuff she was talking about, even with the miscarriages being so common, and then how soon you should maybe take a break. And so, yeah, definitely all useful information. Wow, that was really good. So obviously, after all is said and done, practice makes perfect. Get back on the horse, So just enjoy
Hopefully it's
it.
a horse.
Hey, if it's not a horse, if it's just a little pinky, it's okay.
It could be a pony.
A pony, yeah.
My
I
Little
tell you,
Pony.
I definitely learned a lot from
Miniature horse.
this. When it's all said and done, just like what Monique say, get ready for battle and hop back on that saddle, man. So I'm with it.
You worked on it all night.
I did not.
Oh, you already had that in there. Huh?
I'm serious. I'm a rapper.
Oh my God, Hank. You need to
Hopefully you
put on
wrap
a
it up.
rapper.
Oh, this is Get On Hank now?
Oh, that was good.
Put on a rapper.
Aly. Whose team are you on, Aly?
She's far away from you. You can't
I mean,
get on her
honestly,
today.
Steve, are
I'm
you on,
all
Aly?
about putting on a wrapper. Putting on a glove. No love. Glove.
She rapping too.
Go ahead, Aly.
Give me a beat. I'm okay.
She said, give her a beat.
I said Hank is in the house. Okay.
Go ahead, Allie.
Oh, God.
We'll save that one for.
Oh my God.
I need some Camus to do that one.
So you got to get liquored up.
Oh my God. Everybody go ahead and pour one for me, please. Because I can't partake, and I'm not even interested, which is so can't even just the smell. Can't even do it. Can't even do it. But anyway, months after I have the baby, I'll be ready to pop a bottle. Anyway, so let's talk about some tips. Our tip of the day when dealing with miscarriage is talk about it. Talk about your feelings. Come to Not for Lazy Moms. If you don't have any friends that you feel comfortable talking about it to, you can anonymously, post. Get it out. Just get it off your chest, and you'll realize that you have a wide community of women who've had that same experience, who can understand what you're dealing with and what you're going through, and can offer you, kind words and encourage you to keep pushing forward. Don't be afraid to mourn. It is nothing wrong with mourning. Whatever loss you're feeling, get it out. Deal with it however you need to deal with it, as long as you're dealing with it. So that was one mistake I made, early on, is that I just kind of brushed over it. I didn't really fully deal with it. So just free yourself, deal with it. What you're feeling is very real, and it's common. And that was the biggest thing that I've learned, even with sharing my stories, how common it is. So don't feel ashamed. Keep your head up. If you want to try again, try again. If you don't, there's nothing wrong with that either. You know your limits. You know what you can handle emotionally and physically. So you make the best decision and the best choice for you, and just take it from there. So any other tips?
I also think listening to your body, like when you are ready to try again, your body, I don't know. I know for me personally, like your body will tell you when it's ready. Like you'll just know, instead of, yes, you can wait 3 full cycles or 1 or 5, whatever you want, but your body will tell you. Just listen to it.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you aren't getting pregnant right away, after a month, after 2, after 3, maybe it is your body's way of telling you, let's take a little break. Let's maybe do a cleanse or detox and just kind of, get things back on track, and then try again. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, if it's not happening. Because I do remember several times where Chris and I were very irresponsible after we had the miscarriage, and we still weren't getting pregnant. And I was actually quite shocked, So I was just like, whoa, like, I know I'm very fertile, and I know he is too. And it was just weird. I was like, wait, why isn't it happening, So I just kind of had to block it from my mind and just say, you know what, when it's time, it'll be time. And I need to get my body back together before we try to do that anyway. So, fellas, anything?
I just think the men need to be supportive. Even though you're going through it as well, it's definitely going to take a toll on the female more so than you. So just have to be strong and deal with it yourself, but then also deal with it with your spouse and go through it and be supportive and have their back when they want to talk about it. You know, be an ear to listen, and you know, don't just push the envelope and force them to engage with you about it. Just be patient with them and love them, and get back to humping.
What about you, Hank?
To be honest, I've never dealt with that situation, so this episode, you know, I'm just coming from a standpoint of just listening and absorbing. So I'm just listening to y'all. So all I'm gonna say is the tip for me: listen to the podcast and listen to them. They know what they're talking about. They had experience, and that's what I'm gonna do. That's the tip.
All right. Well, on our way out, let's give a moment of silence to all of the angel babies that the angels are taking care of for us on our behalf, and all of the rainbow babies that came after. So, and all of you brave mothers out there who have gone through miscarriages, who have dealt with it, stay encouraged, be encouraged, and thank you for your bravery, and thank you for sharing with us today. So take care until the next time.